Welcome back. As we are discussing inheritance, we just discuss about how can we make a class called baseball or employee from person class, or how can we add the features of person class to baseball player and employee class. Okay, let's continue this discussion here. So, what a baseball player and employee class, what we're going to do? We're going to acquire the properties of person class by inheriting these two classes from person class. Okay. Next, let's try to understand the need of inheritance here. So let's ask a question here: how to get the name and age of baseball player and employee? Because in the previous slide we have discussed that baseball player have no attribute called name. Yeah, no attribute called name. Similarly, employee also have no attribute called name. Okay. So now, basic question is how can we get them? This is the question that I have asked in this presentation. So, how to get the name and age? Name a baseball player or age of a baseball player. Similarly, name of an employee and age of an employee. So, what is the answer that you might think? So, let's the answers. What are the various ways that we can do this? Three options available here with us to get these two properties to employee and baseball class. First answer that we might think in our mind that why you should create a person class separately. Why not we add name and age to baseball class, make it a separate class, and why not we make an two data member, declare two data member inside employee class as well as in the baseball player class. Now you might think that only about this two data member. Now think about, suppose a person has definitely date of birth, a person has also address, his permanent address or present address, whatever the thing, a person have mobile number also, so many features a person have, so many attributes a person have. Now if you think in that respect, then you need to add all of these thing in baseball as well as in employee. So think your person attributes more than 10 or 12, more than 10, 12 or 20. So you need to do all 20 thing in employee class as well as in baseball player class. So it will be a, I think it's maybe a difficult job. You might miss something in your employee or in baseball while you adding multiple attributes or data member to a same class. It might be clumsy for you while you creating the object, and when you pass the values, we cannot pass the values 20 values in one constructor. We never did this thing. It will be make a great mistake in our coding also. So our agenda is in our coding is that keep our coding short and simple. So to do this, we are not going to adopt the first mechanism. What is first mechanism here that I've listed? Add name and age to the baseball or employee class directly as member. We are not going to do this. We understand what is the problem. Okay, next, add person as a member of baseball and employee using composition. So our CSE 202 syllabus doesn't have this topic actually, composition. So what is composition? If we need to understand this second point, we need to discuss little bit about the composition. Composition, okay. Composition means building an object by composing multiple small or simple objects. Like you can consider car is a complex object. So a car has a tire, a car has a steering. Similarly, car have few others features also. So we are building a car which can we consider as a complex class. And what how are we going to build them? We're going to uh, compose, or we're going to add object of simple classes like tire is a class, steering is a class, and color of the car. Then we have other features, how to change the gear, how to press the horn, how this thing functioning, fuel meter, everything is a separate class. So when you form a car class here, actually we're going to add the objects of those simple classes. This is called composition. Okay, so we can do this thing in baseball as well as employee class. We can create an object of uh, person in baseball as well as object of person in employee. Now you should think, you should ask a question to yourself. Okay, what you mentioned, what I told, composition is a has a relationship. So now you should ask a question to yourself: can person has a baseball player has a person? Is it possible? The English that we are thinking, is it correct? Baseball player has a person, employee has a person. It might not be correct, the thing. It might be the wrong thing that we are doing here if we do the composition here, because it's not saying has a. Okay, so normally we call person, employee is a person, and baseball player also is a person, so it's a is a relationship, it's not a has a. So that means second option also is not suitable for our program, it's not suitable for our example here. First option is also not correct, second option also we are not going to do this. Now let's see the third option. Have baseball player and employee inherit those attributes from person. So we are going to extend them, because inherit tells us it is a kind of relationship, is a. Okay, so is a verb type of relationship. Is a kind of relationship means your employee is a person, baseball player is a person, so satisfy this criteria. So what you're going to do, you're going to adopt the third mechanism. Okay, to create the complex class here. Complex class is baseball player class, and the complex class is uh, employee class. I hope you understand that. What you're going to do, we're going to create these two classes by inheriting from person class. Okay, so I think the need of inheritance is clear. Okay, here, so we're simply going to reuse the code that we did in the did previously. Okay, now just ask a question to yourself. Is a baseball player is a person? What is the answer? If you ask this question to yourself, baseball player is a person, so think. Answer is yes. Another time, another question. Is an employee is a person? Again, same question. Yeah, answer definitely should be yes. So answer is yes. So this to satisfy is a relationship, so we're going to inherit it. So then, what is the solution? How to achieve this inheritance? Let's see. We'll have baseball, fine. We'll have employee. Okay, we have discussed these two classes in detail at the very beginning of the presentation. Okay, and then we have a person. Fine. So what next? So here is the solution. Solution is that we're going to inherit baseball player from person. Similarly, also we're going to inherit employee from the person, by which employee going to get the name and employee will have a age. So here you can see here employee has an age, employee has a name. So it's a composition relationship. Okay, these two data member can be part of employee directly also. So we call them employee has a salary, then employee has an employee ID. So this is the composition. We are building employee object by composing small item. They are the part of the employee. But if we think overall class relationship, employee is a person. Similarly, baseball player also have a name, and baseball player also has an age. So now let's try to understand inheritance relationship between classes. So we have a person class, we have a baseball class, so we have an employee class. We inherit these two classes from person class, and person class, sorry, baseball class and employee class doesn't have any direct relationship between them. Direct, indirect, no such relationship between them. Okay, so here person class we're going to say, we're going to call it a base class for baseball player or employee, or it also going to called parent class or super class. Okay, so we're going to use any one of these three terms during the course. We're going to use base, or we're going to use parent, we're going to use super. If you read content from few other websites or your any of the book that I've already shared, uh, you can be seen that books also use this term interchangeably. They use sometimes base, use sometimes parent, use sometimes super. So that's I told you that your general class, person class need to be created before baseball and employee need to be created before. So that's why we called it parent. So definitely in our real life also, parent exists first, then child are coming to the world. So think with that respect of the real life. So here person is a parent class. Similarly here, what we're going to do, we're going to inherit baseball player class from person class. So here baseball will be the child class of the person class, because person is a parent. So we called it Baseball player is a derived class and person class is parent class. If person class is super class, we call baseball player as a subclass. Okay, so we are deriving the property of person to baseball. So same, it is true for employee also. So we are deriving employee from person. So person will be parent and employee will be child. Similarly, person will be super class and employee will be subclass here. So here is the term. Look at the direction of the arrow we are doing. The arrow is moving from baseball player to person and employee to person. So we call them derived from. Okay. In due course, we're going to see another way also we can represent this relationship. We call it derived to. We'll discuss this later on. So you look at the direction. So we call it derived from. Okay, now let's look at the last part of this lecture. How to can we implement? What are the steps we need to follow to implement inheritance, to achieve inheritance between multiple classes? Step number one that we should do: declare the required base class. In our example, the base class is person class. We need to declare that class very fast. Okay, at the very first step. Second step here, declare the child class. So here we have two child class, baseball player class or employee class. So first we will declare the parent class or base class. Second we will declare the child class, okay, or derived class. Okay, and next step, what will be the syntax that we should follow? We'll see the implementation in the next videos, lectures. So just remember that syntax, it will be easy for you. Class is the keyword we normally use to create a class. So while you creating the child class, we should follow the syntax. Class, name of the child class. Okay, we should remember the identifier name rules, how to design the identifier name. Normally we go with the first character as uppercase for class name. So you should follow this. So suppose you are doing class employee, then use a colon here as a inheritance operator, we can say, or we can simple use a colon. Do not use scope precision operator. Few students going to use two colon instead of one. So do not get confused. We are not defining function outside of the class. We are inheriting one class from another. So use a simple colon here after the derived class name, and use the access specifier that you very familiar about this access specifier, public access specifier here. So we're going to call it public inheritance. Okay, public inheritance, and give the base class name. So what are you going to do? Suppose we are inheriting employee class. So we are designing employee class. Sorry, not inheriting, designing employee class. So what should we write? Class employee colon public person. Person is the base class name. Okay, and whatever the data member that we already mentioned in the class diagram, you can add them here. So the next point that I mentioned, add the required data member and member function to the derived class or child class. So according to our class diagram, we mentioned something, so we can add this here. Okay, so this is all about that. I try to create the background of inheritance, try to clear the basics theory. The topic is little bit vast as compared to other topic in your syllabus, so it takes time to go in depth about this topic. So today's lecture is all about the basics. I hope you done with the basics. I have done here basic with the basics. And if you have any query, so let's be ready with your questions during your timetable, according to your timetable, and kindly post your queries in your the LPU Live app. Okay, so we'll try to solve your queries during the class timing that we have according to your timetable. Okay, so in the next lecture I'm going to implement them. Okay, so I'm going to stop here now. Have fun, just try to understand, repeat more and more time these videos to try to clear your doubts, and be ready with your queries. And in the next lecture we're going to see the how can we implement with the help of coding. Okay, thank you. I hope you already downloaded the resources that I have uploaded. So we need those resources during implementation. So keep ready all the resources with you. We'll see in the next video. Thank you.